If you haven't heard the hit song Thong Song by Sisqó, you must be from another planet. Released in 2000, the catchy tune with its scandalous lyrics about the finer things in life took the world by storm, earning 4 Grammy nominations and topping charts in New Zealand and across Europe. But behind the infectious beat, Sisqó was hiding some dark secrets that he's only recently revealed. In this video, we will explore the untold story behind this iconic song and discover the hidden truths that Sisqó has kept under wraps for over 2 decades. Sisqó early years. Sisqó was born with the name Mark Andrews, but you know, he's better known as Sisqó. His dad, Alonzo, was an electrician, and his mom, Carolyn, held it down as a social security claims clerk. Now, Sisqó was the only son and the youngest of 3 siblings. They lived in a middle-class neighborhood in Baltimore, Maryland. However, during the summers, Sisqó used to go over to his grandma's crib in a rough, drug-infested Baltimore ghetto. It was a tough spot where the thugs ruled the streets and they were respected. Sisqó soaked up the street knowledge during those summers. He even ended up getting locked up 3 times, straight up in jail. Sisqó found himself sitting in a jail cell at just 16 years old. That's when he had a real talk with himself like, "Yo, I ain't no thug, I'm just trying to front like one," he spilled in an interview with TV Guide. That moment changed everything for him. He made up his mind right then and there to switch up his image and turn his life around. So Sisqó decided to switch up his look and make himself less intimidating. He went all out and bleached his hair blonde, you know, to show a different side of him. But let me tell you, it wasn't just about his appearance. The real reason he dyed his hair blonde was because he got heartbroken by a lady. When he was a 9th grader, he dated this lady who was a 10th grader. So he made up his mind to be someone else as a coping mechanism to escape the hurt. As fate will have it, he saw the Big Papa video and he saw Diddy Baby Mama.
I saw the Big Papa video, and I saw Diddy Baby Mother.
Yes.
She was putting on platinum blonde hair, and instantly he knew that's what he wanted.
And her hair was, she was actually, like, she did like the kind of platinum blonde thing, and I was just like, that.
Done. Wow.
To add to the twist, Diddy Baby Mama styled them in the Big Baby Mama video with Foxy Brown. Unlike those days, coloring hair as a black artist came with a backlash. But look who is doing it now. Chris Brown. Chris Brown confessed to looking up to him before he came to the limelight. Growing up, Sisqó had his fair share of experimenting with drugs, but he decided to leave all that behind and take the straight path. He wanted to be a positive influence. He even said in an interview with Rolling Stone, saying, "The key is making everybody feel like they can invite you into their house." He wanted to be approachable, someone you can trust. The truth is that Sisqó is not about that troubled life. He made it clear that no one would ever catch him in any kind of mess. He's all about staying out of trouble and focusing on his music and his hustle. But that's not all. Sisqó became a father at the young age of 17 with Shayoni Andrews, his high school girlfriend. Yeah, you heard that right. He stepped up and took care of his child from day one. Even though he never tied the knot with his daughter's mother, he remained an involved parent. He made sure to provide for his little one, no doubt about it. And here's the kicker. His child even made a special appearance in the iconic Thong Song video. Can you believe that? Sisqó wanted to show the world that family is everything to him, and he wasn't afraid to let them be a part of his journey. So let's talk about how his musical career kicked off. Forming of Dru Hill. Back in the day, when Sisqó was just young, people used to call him that name because of his wavy hair that made him look straight Puerto Rican. Sisqó got his act together real quick. He linked up with his homies from high school, James Woody Green, Larry Jazz Anthony Jr., and Tamir Nokio Ruffin, and they formed the R&B group Dru Hill in 1995. They named the group after their hood in Baltimore, Druid Hill Park. Now, Sisqó's dad, Alonzo Andrews, wasn't exactly supportive of his son's dreams of making music. He wanted him to get a real job, you know, something more practical. So Sisqó did what he had to do and worked some odd jobs to make ends meet. He flipped pizzas at a parlor, slugged tickets at a movie theater, and even got down at a candy store called the Fudgery, where they put on a show for the customers. But deep down, Sisqó knew he had to follow his heart. One day, his mother dropped some knowledge on him and told him to chase his dreams. That was all the motivation he needed to leave those real jobs behind. Dru Hill started working hard, performing at school fashion shows and getting better and better. And then, when Sisqó was was still just a junior in high school, they caught the attention of a manager at a talent show. That's when things started. Dru Hill signed a deal with Island Records and dropped their first album, self-titled Dru Hill, in 1996. And let me tell you, they blew up real quick. From rocking teen talent shows to selling multi-platinum records, these dudes were on top of the game in no time. While working on their first and second albums, Dru Hill made a significant contribution to the Soul Food soundtrack with their hit song, We're Not Making Love No More, which climbed to number 2 on the R&B charts and number 13 on the pop charts. This soulful track was written and produced by the talented Babyface. Additionally, the group collaborated with rapper Foxy Brown on a remake of Carl Carlton's classic, She's a Bad Mama Jama, She's Built, She's Stacked, titled Big Bad Mama, which served as the lead single for the soundtrack of the 1997 film Def Jam's How to Be a Player starring Bill Bellamy. Not only did Dru Hill showcase their musical prowess through these collaborations, but they also played a pivotal role in the success of emerging artist Maya. Sisqó, a member of Dru Hill, co-wrote Maya's first 2 singles, It's All About Me and Moving On, and even lent his vocals to It's All About Me. During this time, in 1997, Dru Hill found themselves embroiled in a legal battle with Island Records. The group sought to terminate their contract with the label after an altercation where an Island employee assaulted their manager, Keith Ingram, with a pool cue. Shockingly, it was revealed that the employee had a criminal record. In a deposition hearing in October 1997, Eric Kronfeld, the president and chief operating officer of Island's parent company Polygram, was questioned about hiring an individual with such a background. His controversial response implied that if African Americans with criminal records were not hired, there would be virtually no African American employees in our society or our industry. In November of that year, Kronfeld comments caused a huge uproar in the media. The Reverend Jesse Jackson even got involved, publicly accusing the Dutch-based Polygram of discrimination. Jackson had a meeting with Polygram's chairman and other executives, who ended up apologizing for Kronfeld's remarks. They even replaced Kronfeld with Clarence Avant from Motown Records. And guess what? By the end of the month, Dru Hill had resolved their issues with Island Records and decided to stay with the label. It was quite the roller coaster of events, let me tell you. But even with all the success of Dru Hill, they were straight up getting snubbed at awards shows, which had Sisqó feeling some type of way. In 1998, Dru Hill dropped their third banger with How Deep Is Your Love, hitting number 3 on the pop chart. This joint was featured on the Rush Hour soundtrack, starring Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. Then they came through with This Is What We Do, spitting fire with Method Man on the track, setting the vibe for their second album, Enter the Dru. The album had more smooth jams like How Deep Is Your Love, and the R&B hit These Are the Times, hitting number 21 on the pop charts. Babyface had a hand in co-writing and co-producing this one, with some sick guitar work from Dick Smith. Released on October 27th, 1998, the album climbed to number 2 on the Billboard 200 and ended up moving 2 million units by May 1999. After Polygram was acquired by Seagram on December 10th, 1998, it was quite a big deal. Polygram's music division was merged with MCA Records to form Universal Music Group. And then, on New Year's Eve, Island Records operations were combined with Mercury Records and Def Jam Recordings to create the Island Def Jam Music Group. It was a whole new era for the music industry. Island black music was no more, and Island and Mercury's R&B and hip-hop artists were transferred to Def Jam. That's when Dru Hill found a new home in the R&B division of Def Soul, but things took a turn when there was a shooting incident at one of their concerts in Paris. It was a scary moment that led member Woody Rock to leave the group. Despite the setback, Dru Hill kept on going. They released a remix of You Are Everything with Ja Rule and recorded a version of Enchantment Passing Through for the Broadway musical Ada. And let's not forget about Sisqó's solo debut album Unleash the Dragon, which came out in November 1999. The album had some hits like Got to Get It and Thong Song. songs. And who could forget Incomplete, which became a #1 hit that summer. In 1999, Dru Hill linked up with Will Smith on the Wild Wild West soundtrack, and that collaboration was a game changer for Sisqó. While shooting the music video, Woody went on to do gospel music, which had Sisqó heated at first. But then he realized that after working together for 4 years, it was time for each of them to do their own thing in the music game. So Dru Hill decided to split up and work on solo projects. But they had plans to come back together later on for another Dru Hill album. It was all about following their paths and doing what was best for their careers. Sisqó going solo. Sisqó was hanging out with Smith and they got talking about his solo career and what direction he should take. They both agreed that Sisqó's stuff gotta be classy, hardcore stuff. However, things took a turn when Smith heard Thong Song, the first single from Sisqó's debut album, Unleash the Dragon. This joint was released on Sisqó's label, Dragon Records, under the Def Jam or Def Soul imprint. Now this song was all about them barely their bikini bottoms and lingerie, and the video had all these fly ladies rocking thongs. It wasn't what they had in mind when they talked about class. But here's the thing, even though it wasn't classy, it had something else going for it. It had that sense of humor that both Smith and millions of fans, young and old, could vibe with. Thong Song became the ultimate party anthem in the spring and summer of 2000, and Unleash the Dragon went on to sell over 5 million copies. So even though Sisqó and Smith had a different vision at first, sometimes you have to let the music speak for itself. And that's exactly what happened with Thong Song. It may not have been classy, but it sure got the party jumping. Sisqó had mad success with his music, but he wanted to switch it up on his second album, Return of Dragon. He knew he couldn't top the success of his banger Thong Song, so he didn't even want to try. Instead, he wanted to grab attention with some real deep tracks that would appeal to the masses. At first, he did some crazy stuff to get noticed, with his wild hair and flashy clothes, but he wanted people to focus on his raw talent when they looked at Return of Dragon. But some critics couldn't handle it. This dude Barry Walters from Rolling Stone straight up dissed the album, saying it had more of that explicit sex and player games like his first joint, Unleash. He called it a hot mess, saying the melodies were weak, the vocals were half-baked, and the lyrics were straight up lazy. That's harsh. But not everyone was hating on Sisqó. This critic Erica Suter from People showed some love, saying Sisqó still got it, blending R&B vibes with some dope rap rhythms. She did admit though, the first single, Off the Corner, couldn't quite capture that same magic as the Thong Song. And then we got Mark Weingarten from the Los Angeles Times, who straight up said there ain't nothing even close to Thong Song on this album. Ouch. However, despite his success as a solo artist, Dru Hill was going downhill. The end of Dru Hill. Before the completion of the group's third album, Dru Hill started having internal issues. The success of Sisqó as a solo artist harmed the group's dynamics. Def Jam president Kevin Liles, who hails from Baltimore like the group, pushed for a comeback album and a few solo projects, but unfortunately it never fully materialized. Jazz had plans to release his solo debut album in 2001, which he had recorded between 1999 and 2000. However, due to conflicts with Lear Cohen, another high-ranking executive at Def Jam, the album was shelved and Jazz was dropped from the Def Soul division as a solo artist. On the other hand, Nokio focused on his work as a producer, lending his talents to artists such as DMX and Foxy Brown. In 2000, Sisqó and Nokio established their label, Dragon Records, and signed a girl group called Lover. Then on June 19th, 2001, Sisqó released his second solo album, Return of Dragon, but unfortunately it didn't perform well, causing Dru Hill's comeback plans for the year to be postponed. After releasing his solo gospel album, Soul Music, in May, and with a new agreement with Def Jam, Dru Hill decided to bring Woody back into the fold and welcomed a new member, Rufus Scola Waller, as the 5th member of the group. The album Dru World Order was finally completed in July and released on November 26, 2002, 2 years after its intended release date. Nokio took the lead in producing most of the album's tracks, and even sang lead on the songs She Said and Men Always Regret. Other notable producers, including Brian Michael Cox, Eric Neolante Phillips, and Kwame, also made contributions. The majority of the album's tracks featured Sisqó, Jazz, Woody, and Scola sharing lead vocals, including the lead single I Should Be, which achieved success as a top 30 pop hit and a top 10 R&B hit. In August 2003, the promotion and marketing efforts for the album came to a halt as Def Jam welcomed another boy band, 112, to its Def Soul imprint. This move was aimed at supporting 112's upcoming fourth album, Hot and Wet. Feeling frustrated by this decision, Dru Hill decided to go on another hiatus until the issues could be resolved. As 2004 progressed, the situation with their label worsened when Lyles and Cohen departed from Def Jam, making way for L.A. Reid to step in. Reid then urged the group to work on a fourth studio album for the label, only to later postpone the project to focus on other artists. With Sisqó refusing to contribute his vocals to new recordings as requested by Reid, the group was labeled as self-destructive and unproductive. Consequently, the anticipated buzz surrounding the album never materialized, leading to the confirmation on July 17, 2004, that Dru Hill had been dropped from Def Soul after a 5-year partnership with Def Jam. On October 11, 2005, Def Soul released a compilation of Dru Hill's greatest hits, titled Dru Hill Hits, along with a DVD collection of the group's music videos, which also featured Sisqó's popular solo tracks Thong Song and Incomplete. Do you know that despite Thong Song becoming a hit, someone else has the major royalties to the music? The Thong Song Saga. The origins of Thong Song can be traced back to Tim and Bob, who played a significant role in its creation.
A lot of the iconic songs break the rules.
It's all about feel at the end of the day.
So I heard the melody first.
Tim initially developed the original demo beat by incorporating a remix of Wes Montgomery's cover version of the Beatles' Eleanor Rigby. Notably, Tim's demo version prominently featured the actual violins from Eleanor Rigby. After obtaining Tim and Bob's demo, Sisqó took it upon himself to make some adjustments and transform it into his unique creation. To enhance the song's musicality, Sisqó enlisted the services of Bruce Dukov, a talented LA studio musician. Bruce skillfully amalgamated his rendition of the Eleanor Rigby violins, which can be heard right from the beginning and continued to support the song throughout. In addition to refining the musical elements, Sisqó also dedicated himself to crafting the lyrics. According to his recollections in various interviews, Sisqó managed to write almost the entire song in a single evening. Interestingly, this creative burst occurred on the night before he was scheduled to enter the recording studio. It is worth noting that the inspiration for the lyrics stemmed from a encounter Sisqó had with a woman who was wearing a red thong. The song, when listened to now, essentially narrates the events of that encounter leading up to the climax. This simplistic yet brilliant approach captivated listeners. As many may recall, Sisqó's melodic voice can be heard crooning the phrase "cause she was living la vida loca" in 3 sections of Thong Song. During the recording session, Tim and Bob cautioned Sisqó about the need to obtain legal permission for a particular line, as it referenced Ricky Martin's chart-topping song "Livin' La Vida Loca," released a few months prior. Sisqó, as recounted by Tim and Bob in a recent Vice.com documentary, reassured them that he had a friendship with Ricky and would handle the clearance. It remains uncertain whether Sisqó simply overlooked this step or if he did indeed speak with Ricky. Regrettably, Ricky was not the individual authorized to grant permission. That responsibility fell to Desmond Child. Desmond Child, a highly accomplished songwriter, could not ignore the use of his lyrics in Thong Song, following its release in February 2000. Upon discovering the prominent use of his work, his legal team contacted Def Jam, the label under Def Soul, which distributed Unleash the Dragon. Negotiations concerning rights, clearance, and royalties persisted for months. If Sisqó had obtained clearance for the song before its success, he might have been able to compensate Desmond with a modest sum, perhaps a few $100,000 as a one-time payment. However, with the song now a massive global hit, Desmond held the upper hand. He was no longer interested in a nominal fee. Instead, he sought a substantial ownership stake. Desmond Child emerged as the clear winner when the situation settled, not only receiving a small portion but the majority of the song's publishing rights and subsequent royalties. As stated by Tim and Bob in the Vice documentary, their royalty payments drastically diminished to almost nothing immediately after the judgment was made 2 decades ago. Even today, Desmond earns more from Thong Song than Tim, Bob, and Sisqó combined. This is how the mastermind behind Livin' La Vida Loca essentially gained ownership of Thong Song. These two songs, among approximately 100 others, have contributed to Desmond Child accumulating a net worth of $200 million. Interestingly, Sisqó doesn't appear to be overly concerned by the entire ordeal. Going to Big Brother and controversies, Sisqó won the title of Celebrity Big Brother Hunk of 2010 after gaining the admiration of his female housemates. The R&B singer's smooth voice and choice of wearing a mankini caught the attention of the judges during the recent Hunk-Off competition, which had been organized by Big Brother. It was not long after all this that rumors about him being gay started.
Wearing the bikini shorts.
Who was?
And the gay rumors started going crazy on it.
Whoa.
Like, how did you react with all that?
Wait.
However, according to a report from Diary of a Hollywood Street King, an eyewitness claimed to have seen the singer being escorted out of Missy Elliott's dressing room by a gay black bodybuilder after a performance with Lil' Kim in 2000. The witness described the scene, stating, "I was shocked when Sisqó was taken out of Missy's dressing room by a strong gay man. They were even kissing in front of everyone, and Sisqó didn't seem to care." The unknown man then picked him up and carried him away, leaving Missy Elliott and Lil' Kim in disbelief. The source also mentioned that if smartphones were available at that time, it would have had a significant impact on their careers. This raises the question of whether this sighting is indeed true. The end of his career. The industry can be cruel, and Sisqó learned the hard way. According to Sisqó, his music career took a different direction after the release of his hit song Thong Song in 2000. In an interview with Oprah, "Where are they now?"
Get from the top of the mountain to nobody knowing where I'm at. Once you get to that level of success, you have to play the game. And that's what I did not understand.
Sisqó explains that he went from being extremely successful to feeling like nobody knew where he was. He attributes this change to not fully understanding the dynamics of the music industry. Sisqó believed that once he achieved success, he could help others in his community, like a modern-day Robin Hood. Coming from Baltimore, where opportunities were scarce, he wanted to support his family and friends by involving them in his music. However, this approach clashed with the expectations of studio executives who wanted more control over the creative process. Sisqó's insistence on working with his team instead of following the label's instructions led to conflicts. Despite his intentions to share his success, Sisqó acknowledges that he may have been perceived as difficult to work with. He wanted to ensure that his loved ones also benefited from his achievements and that the money he earned would make a positive impact in Baltimore. He was eventually blacklisted, which led him to open his record label named Dragon Music Group so he could help the people of Baltimore. If that was not all, R. Kelly started dissing Sisqó, calling him out for copying him. This is how it started. In 2001, when Sisqó released his second album, he appeared on 106 and Park, claiming to be the best R&B vocalist performer at that time. He challenged anyone to step up without any backing music, just a microphone, and showcase their talent. Shortly after, Usher's 8,701 Inches was released, and when asked about Sisqó's comments, Usher responded by pointing out Sisqó's album sales. This was seen as a dig at Sisqó, even though his album still sold over 1 million copies. R. Kelly also seemed to take offense to Sisqó's statement and dissed him on the Best of Both Worlds album. The tension between Usher and Sisqó escalated further because before Sisqó's claim, there were discussions about forming a supergroup with Usher, Sisqó, Genuine, and Tyrese for one album. Everyone was on board except Usher, who seemed disinterested. The ongoing conversation between Usher and R. Kelly fueled the creation of the diss track. Sisqó's secret love child. Did you know that Sisqó had a child he never knew of until he was 10 years old? A single mother from Switzerland came forward claiming that she gave birth to the secret love child of Sisqó. The 25-year-old woman, named Jamila Farid, alleged that she managed to sneak into a club where Sisqó grabbed her arm and convinced her to accompany him back to his hotel without even bothering to ask her age. According to Jamila, she became pregnant after engaging in a forbidden encounter with the singer when she was just 14 years old. Jamila's main objective is for Sisqó to acknowledge his paternity and fulfill his responsibilities as a father. She insisted that Sisqó never mentioned anything about contraception before their one-night stand at the luxurious Intercontinental Hotel years ago. Furthermore, she claimed he repeatedly refused to undergo a DNA test, leading Swiss authorities to declare him as the father in his absence. Despite living on a weekly benefit of 300 pounds, Jamila asserted that she is not interested in Sisqó's wealth, but rather wants her son Ian to have the opportunity to meet his biological father. However, the Swiss child support agency attempted to contact the R&B star to compel him to pay £100,000 in overdue maintenance payments, which were futile. Sisqó embarked on a European tour in 1999 alongside his band Dru Hill. During their time in Europe, he noticed a beautiful 14-year-old girl across the dance floor at a nightclub called El Cubanito. Jamila, who had only consumed one drink, recalls that Sisqó was surrounded by attractive women at the bar. However, as she walked in with her friends, he immediately locked eyes with her, displaying his interest. Sisqó approached the schoolgirl, who was dancing with her friends, and initiated a conversation with her. He complimented her beauty and asked her to dance. Jamila states that he never inquired about her age, and she never disclosed that she was 14. According to her later on, Sisqó patiently waited by the cloakroom and took hold of her hand as she passed by. He then asked her if she would like to accompany him back to his hotel, to which she promptly agreed. At the hotel, Jamila claims that they engaged in intercourse without Sisqó mentioning the use of a condom. She couldn't believe that this was happening to her at the time, as Dru Hill was a highly popular band at the time, and she was a fan of their hit song, the Thong Song. The following morning, Sisqó remained quiet and didn't say much, although he was friendly and relaxed. Jamila had to leave because she knew her mother would be concerned about her whereabouts. When Jamila missed her next 2 menstrual cycles, she anxiously visited a doctor who informed her that she was 10 weeks pregnant. Although shocked and panicked, she never questioned the paternity of the child. As Ian grew into a curious 4-year-old, he began to inquire about his father and his origins. In 2003, Jamila had an opportunity to confront Sisqó face to face. She discovered that Dru Hill was returning to perform and saw it as a chance to speak with him. Armed with a photo of Ian, she attended the concert. However, when Jamila approached Sisqó after the show, she was taken aback by his reaction. He immediately recognized her, but to him, she was merely the girl he had previously been intimate with. He also asked her for another encounter, but she declined. Jamila, devastated, began to intensify her efforts to prove Sisqó's paternity by compelling him to undergo a DNA test through the legal system. In 2003, lawyers finally reached out to her, informing her that a letter had been dispatched to Sisqó mandating him to take the DNA test within 20 days. Despite the sluggish legal proceedings, Sisqó was eventually served a notice from the Zurich High Court in 2006, instructing him to comply. Subsequently, in 2007, Jamila had to testify about the events of that fateful night. Later that same year, she came across Sisqó's profile on MySpace and gathered the courage to send him a message along with a photo of Ian. However, the singer callously replied, stating, "This child looks nothing like me." Swiss courts acknowledge a man's responsibility towards a child if he persists in refusing a DNA test, presently sends child support to his baby mama, his family life. Sisqó has embraced a fulfilling and family-centered life alongside his wife and 2 children. The talented artist has chosen to settle down and lead a more tranquil existence in Minnesota. Sisqó and his wife, Elizabeth Pham, are proud parents to their 2 young kids. Their eldest, Ryu Andrews, was born in June 2012, while their youngest, Kimiko Star, also known as Ko, arrived in September 2014. While Sisqó dedicates a significant amount of time to promoting his shows on various platforms, he also takes joy in celebrating his children's birthdays and cherishing his family. In September 2023, Sisqó shared an advertisement for a Target Halloween costume featuring his daughter Coco dressed as a butterfly, hinting at her potential interest in modeling. Additionally, in June 2022, Ryu achieved a remarkable milestone by graduating early. Sisqó and Elizabeth Pham's romantic journey began in 2003, experiencing ups and downs before finally tying the knot in 2018. When you think about Sisqó's life and how he rose to fame, what comes to your mind, and which of his songs was your best so far? Please leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.